If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, or any contemporary fantasy game even, it's extremely likely that you know what this disgusting thing is. Wretched, rotten breath, jagged teeth, described as having pebbly skin, and of course the eye, the big one, and many, many other eyes attached to eerie tentacles that are content to stare, freeze, charm, harm, kill, and disintegrate you all the same. A classic boss monster, ironically more common than the titular dragon and far more interesting if you ask your local dungeon master, this floating slot machine is vital to modern fantasy's identity. Beholders are weird, menacing, and when used properly, the highlight of any fantasy adventure. Being the person I am, I found myself curious as to the why and how beholders reach their modern state, and well, it's not that complicated, and while brief, it's definitely worth taking a look at. As a monster in your games, as a guideline for your own prospective monster designs, or just because you appreciate these freaks as much as I, this is the Beholder. Surely, you can recognize the monstrous maw of the modern Beholder. Well-defined, extremely well-rendered art of these tyrants putting their foes at the mercy of Lady Luck. I also reckon, if you're a big enough fan of Dungeons & Dragons, that you've had the chance to take a peek at the first depiction of the Beholder. And the second, and then they kept that look for a while, excluding the 1983 cartoon. And then they looked even stranger. So, how does this idea even get from mind to page? The answer, as is with most oddities present in modern fantasy concepts, lies with Gary Gygax. The father of modern tabletop role-playing, the topic of the development and popularization of Dungeons & Dragons is enough to fill a video several hours longer than this one. All I have to review for now is the simple fact that the Beholder has been around as long as Dungeons & Dragons, period. During Gygax's workshopping and development of Greyhawk and the first published version of the Dungeons & Dragons game, he evidently had to playtest the game. Playing games with friends, lines later crowding out his door and around the block to play, he ran games that most of the sad adults watching this could only dream of having the opportunity to play with their own friends. Thanks to Gygax's lack of a life, and more vitally, his friends' even more crippling lack of one, the small setting of Greyhawk and one man's evolution of his pet project was able to blossom. To get back on topic, the Beholder, silly enough, was not the brainchild of Gygax. According to Gygax himself, the idea of D&D's most beloved cretin was brought to the table by a player. The second ever D&D Dungeon Master, Rob Kuntz, is a Goliath of importance in regards to the development of Dungeons & Dragons. His contributions to tabletop role-playing games are extremely important, but that's another multi-hour video. So what you do need to know in regards to the Beholder is that Rob had a brother named Terry. Terry Kuntz, while also an early contributor to Dungeons & Dragons, one of its first players, and an early employee of TSR, is frankly, probably the most important D&D player in history. Not even a part of Gygax's original crew, joining during the second session of the game, Terry was described by Gygax as a glutton for punishment in regards to how he handled challenges within the game. 2 months into playing, he brought the design of the Beholder to Gygax, who added the Pernicious Beast to the initial Greyhawk module, and later into the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. The true inspirations of what led to its creation are lost to time, even though we do have Terry's full interpretation of the Beholder scattered around the web. I've done my best to compile all of my research, and it will be listed in the description, but to remain brief, the powers, difficulty, and freakish nature of the Beholder was wholly created by Terry, and later streamlined and developed by Gygax and TSR for use outside of the Greyhawk setting later on. Frankly, it terrifies me as to what the original version may have played like, considering that if a smart and particularly malicious dungeon master runs a Beholder to its full potential, the average character can pretty much do naught but pray to their dice that they don't have to fill out a new character sheet. The Beholder, iconic and an original monster to the D&D game, has not undergone many changes. They're round, they float, they stare, they kill, they hate. The biggest changes have been made to both the variations to fill various niches and to their evolution in art. It's not a secret that early Dungeons & Dragons had cheap artwork, but honestly, as an introduction to the Beholder, it's perfect. It's weird, wacky, and frankly, gives Dungeons & Dragons immediate character. In a way, I miss how experimental artists got before the Beholder's sort of homogenization in the modern era. They weren't just a formidable beast representing the franchise. They were weird, really weird little fucking freaks. Look at this artwork of an iteration of the Xanathar. Why is bro oogling these elf twinks? The insanity of the Beholder is often forgotten when depicting them. Yes, it's extremely cool to depict these things fighting adventurers and blasting death rays at suckers, but, the way these things think are just awful in the best way possible. They hate other Beholders, they hate themselves, they fear everything, and spend life running away from death, obsessing over stupid shit in the comically lavish fashion. The Xanathar and his goldfish, as I've just mentioned, is a perfect example of this. Believe it or not, I am not a fantastic dungeon master. I may be getting better by the day, and you know what, someday I'll probably be good. But for now, this last part is not a step-by-step examination on how to run the perfect Beholder for your table. Every table is different, and, it's unrealistic for one case to fit all, which is what led Gygax to originally standardize the Beholder for broader use. This little diatribe is simply what I find most fun. Beholders, as they are presented in the books by their vanilla stat block in 5th edition, are, despite the entire premise of this video, boring. Bearing a challenge rating of 13, it's honestly comical to assume that a meager 18 armor class on 180 hit points will stand up as a solo target against a group of 4 well-built level 13 adventurers. That being said, make them stronger or make them face lower leveled worse adventurers, and they can really easily become unbeatable tyrants, as the I-beams themselves can get out of control incredibly quickly. And if you just make them a big, round, flat personality slot machine, it won't be fun either. If you intend on running a Beholder, the first thing you have to do is give them a personality. Just the key personality trait is all. Make it sleepy, very greedy, obsessed with an object, afraid of birds. There's lots of ways to just make a Beholder really come to life. Give your Beholder a key personality trait before working on anything else. A quick note in regards to naming them is that it's gotta be harsh and a little silly. Same line of thinking as you would when naming a lich. Pick a medication, pick an illness, wizardify some bullshit, or pick out a word you have fun saying, and that your players will have fun grimacing at. Next, you've gotta build up to it in some way. A Beholder isn't a normal creature that just shows up, gets in your way, and dies. The same way it has a personality and a silly name, you really have to make it obnoxious. Honestly, the best way to have a Beholder around is to make it an optional quest. Really make the party have to enter the belly of the beast on their own accord. Beholders shouldn't be out and about causing problems unless provoked, because frankly, they're scared of the very air they breathe potentially killing them. This brings me to my final point. The very encounter and fight itself with the Beholder. Beholder layers should be weird and fucked up, with lots of vertical spherical tunnels. Maybe some stairs if the Beholder happens to have some minions under its sway. Beholders prepare for many contingencies, just a facet of their personality. So a bevy of weird, fucked up traps to maim and annoy characters is tantamount to making this a good, memorable encounter. Give your Beholder magic items, let it randomly ambush the party within its own lair, and use its knowledge of its lair to its advantage. As Gygax originally intended, Beholders are lovely if used creatively to their full, malleable, weird potential. And that's just part of why I love these dumb, evil, racist freaks. So, glaze for these weird, round, beastly creatures aside, that's it. Thank you for watching this video on something I really like. I appreciate all the feedback that I am provided with when I'm provided with, And if there's ever a video you'd like to see, or even just a thought about the video, please comment. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, a massive thank you to eggyslang, who continues to edit these vanity projects out of the joy in their heart. Please show them some love in the comments additionally. That is all. Thank you for listening.